everyone. Welcome to JMac Investing. My name is Jason. Thanks for tuning in to another one. Today, I got a special guest. We want to follow up interview today with the CEO of Arcimoto, Mark Fronhmayer, and I'm very excited to have him on the show. It's a very exciting company in the EV sector. They have an awesome vehicle. It's called the FUV. That's also the ticker symbol. Many of you probably familiar with the company since I've covered it a couple of times, but I'm excited to have him back on to discuss a bunch of new updates that the company has underway. So with no further ado, I'm going to bring Mark on. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm well. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I love the new swag you got there. That's a good looking sweatshirt.
This is our artisanal Arcimoto's sweatshirts.
You got those on the site yet?
I think this one is a prototype, but I think we've got the blue one somewhere on there.
Okay, so you do have some on the site.
If not, it's coming soon. We've had rave reviews.
All right, very good, very good. Yeah, I got to get me some. I definitely quick the disclaimer. I am personally invested into the company, but this is not a paid sponsored video. This is, and there's no affiliation between us. I'll put the full disclaimer down in the description below. Yeah. So
thanks for supporting the venture, sir.
Excited to have had opportunity recently to buy more because it dipped a little bit. So taking advantage of it.
Good long-term thinking.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I really like many of your investors that we see beyond the short term, and we're looking along with you on the things that we see where this fills the gap, as you say, with big vehicles to motorcycles. This is something right in between. That's EV. That's good for. Has a lot of utility for a lot of people, I believe, and I think the demand is going to be good, which maybe we'll touch on, I'm sure, throughout this interview.
Yeah. I mean, the big aha behind Arcimoto in general is just that there is a big disconnect between the cars we drive and how we actually use them. Right. The typical trip is one or two people traveling a short distance, and we drive 4,000-pound gas cars that are capable of going, hundreds of miles at a time without stopping. And that creates this sort of inherent inefficiency in the system. And that's really that gap is what we're mining, is creating really just a right-sized tool for daily transport for a wide range of uses.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are, especially with the pandemic and everything, so many people have scaled down to they're just going to the store and back. There's me personally, me and my wife, I've been married for 15 years. We have always had two vehicles. And during this pandemic, we scaled down to one. We got rid of one because, we just barely used two vehicles. So we scaled down to one. But now, obviously, so the ongoing discussion is, we're going to get an FUV for me to, scoot around, eventually when we can get those delivered to North Carolina.
Coming soon.
Yeah. So once that opens up, we'll be placing an order for sure.
Well, I think, one of the things I'll be curious about is as we come out of this pandemic, how many of the behavior patterns that have shifted are going to stick around. And I think actually a lot of them, if you were commuting an hour and a half each way to work every day, but now you figured out how to work remote, I don't see people going back to that old way. And likewise, if you've started getting your groceries every week from Instacart or whatever, that level of convenience is, I think, for a lot of people, is going to be here to stay. And so those shifts in transportation, I think, really end up favoring smaller form, more localized solutions rather than kind of the original idea of the automobile.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I think, like you said, I used to work for a big Fortune 500 company in the office, and it was some very old school thinking managers, and they didn't want you to, work remote. Whereas I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, where traffic is terrible, and so lots of the tech firms in the area were allowing people to work 1 or 2 or 3 days remote, even before pre-pandemic. This was a couple years ago. The company I was working for, they fought it. But now, even they've changed. I'm being told by a couple of my former employees there that, they're going to, they're fully remote now, and when they get back beyond the pandemic, they're going to be much more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, we've been forced to figure out how to work remotely effectively. And for Arcimoto, there are obviously things we're building physical products and circuit boards and vehicles, so you can't. There's obviously a big piece of that you can't do in a work from home capacity. But for a lot of the work we do, whether it's engineering or marketing or planning, a lot of that can happen anywhere. And
Sales.
This actually opened up the ability to collaborate much more effectively with people all over the place. I just think about some of the pros that we've brought on board to help us get to mass production. Probably significantly Monroe and Associates. This is it's really enabled us to integrate their team into our team in a way that would have been much more difficult if we were doing it the old way and thousands of miles apart in separate places. So
Right.
and that level of collaboration, I mean, I think that's here to stay.
For sure. Well, let's get right into some of because I don't remember, it was 2 or 3, I don't know, maybe 4 months, 2 or 3 months ago, the last time we spoke. So since then, there's been quite a bit of announcements and things that have occurred. And I'd like to, kind of talk through some of those with you, if you don't mind.
Sure. We talked right before the election, right? I mean, that was back in October.
It's probably been 4 months or so.
A lot's happened since then.
Just yesterday, I guess, there was a fairly big announcement that you're now eligible for the 1,500 California Clean Fuel Reward program. Can you talk about what went into getting that approved for you guys, and what does that mean for you?
What it means, part our mission is to help catalyze the shift to sustainable transportation. And we firmly believe that doesn't happen for real until the mass market can afford electric, ultra efficient solutions. So the fact that more governments are getting on board with, and California actually has always been a leader in terms of clean transportation. I mean, there's no question they've been driving this change for decades. So the recognition of the value of our solution in the mix. I mean, there was a pretty simple application process. We had to verify that the vehicle actually did hit performance targets and could do the Pomona loop and so on. But once we're there, $1,500 off of what is already an affordable product. Really, I mean, that's a big step. So we are doing absolutely everything that we can to drive the cost of manufacture down. That's part of why we're pushing to get to scale, and it's just core to our mission. So, but having states participate, and then ultimately having the federal government incentivize vehicles in this category, I think it's just going to be all to the good.
Now, I guess that's just like a tax write-off. If and when someone were to live in California, purchase the FUV, they would be able to apply for that and get that at tax time.
No, this one actually comes right off the purchase price.
Oh, it does. Okay,
yeah.
So
it's at the point of sale. Yeah, so which is even, I think, probably more significant for the if you're not expecting a big tax refund and you're just really scraping it out, then having that at the point of sale makes a big difference.
Okay. Well, okay. So the FUV, you go through. There's a online portal where you pick your colors, you pick your designs, and then go through the checkout process. So at checkout, there you're going to have, if you're in California, that credit knocked off.
Yeah. Well, it's really when you buy an Arcimoto, you put down you can pre-order it for $100. The actual order is a $2,500 non-refundable payment, and then you owe the balance when we actually deliver the vehicle. So it would be at that point that $1,500 would come off the top.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome news. Yeah, for sure. And then the other big announcement of recent that I can't wait to get your insights on is this acquisition of Tilting Motor Works. So I want to get you to talk a little bit about how that fits into your short-term and long-term plan, what it looks like.
Well, so we have not really discussed in any detail what it is that we're actually doing with that technology. I've known Bob Mile, who's the founder and CEO of Tilting Motor Works, for many years now. as we both sort of plied the West Coast venture circuit with interesting three-wheeled vehicle concepts. And I was, always very impressed by the work that they had done to really dial in the tilting three-wheeled vehicle architecture. I would argue that they have the world leading technology for tilting three-wheeled vehicles. And as we look at not just where we sit in the market today, but ultimately we want to continue to drive efficiency on three-wheeled vehicle platforms, all the way down to the true micromobility space. And so this acquisition was really primarily about a new product family for Arcimoto that won't really come online for in any significant number, probably for a couple of years. But it is squarely aimed at kind of a re-envisioning of much smaller scale. This would be like bicycle, scooter, small motorcycle class of vehicles, and having that be a component of the Arcimoto product line. I've been schooled in the school of disruption theory by Bill Hambrecht, who was our first venture investor, and he made it pretty clear that if you don't disrupt yourself, somebody else will. And so we want to be always continuing to push down market, continuing to push to a broader audience, and really have a complementary product families that answer a whole range of solutions for everyday transportation.
As it stands, though, tilting Motorworks just functions as they were up until the point where you bring them in, and then you begin to visualize what you want to do with the company. But the revenue that they're generating once the deal is closed, that's part of Arcimoto.
Right. And that deal has closed. So I think it
closed
a week ago, or a week and change. And yeah, so their existing product line, and the product line that Tilting Motorworks put out, and it was actually very clever, was rather than make a full vehicle, which as it turns out is a very significant undertaking, they created a bolt-on kit for luxury motorcycles, Harleys primarily, that turns a two-wheeled motorcycle into a leaning three-wheeled motorcycle. And so that product, which is the e-Trio, or the Trio, is going to continue to be made by Arcimoto for that market. So the original product line is, it's a done product already in production. We're going to do what we can to improve margins on that, bring our expertise in manufacture, and certainly our production capabilities to driving down cost. But we've had Bob transition over into really leading the effort on a new product that we are not talking about yet.
Gotcha. But end of the day, that does become a new revenue line for you, correct?
Yeah. So the existing product line will be a revenue stream, and then the new product that we're building, ultimately, we think is going to be a real opportunity.
So there you go. All right. Well, I can't wait to hear more as you release.
Stay tuned. We'll have more to share.
Excellent. So, and then also the other, I guess, big news between our last discussion was this new acquisition of the new facility.
Yeah.
The expansion facility, and you got it right there in Eugene, Oregon, right?
Yeah, it's very close to our existing production facility. It came on the market about 2 days after we started looking, so the timing on it was very good, and that saves us. It's very well located, very well suited for what we are attempting to do, we believe, and it is. It means we don't have to build a new building in order to get to this next stage. So last summer we outlined what we think is a big, hairy, audacious goal of getting to mass production in the near term. And obviously having someplace to build vehicles at that scale is a pretty necessary piece of that puzzle. So very excited about that. We're moving through the due diligence and purchase process right now. And we expect to have that closed by the end of the quarter. So, the present owner will be leasing it back from us for some period of time in order to make their transition to their new facility. But we expect that, aiming for kind of the end of this year, is when we would sort of first start to see some limited production related activities happening. And then next year, by the end of next year, we'd want to be actually cranking vehicles out the door.
Right, because I'm assuming you'll have to retool it and
Yeah.
get the things that you need in place over there as well.
Yeah. And so we kind of have the parallel track of building out the factory over the course of this next 18 to 24 months, and then we're doing a lot of refinements to the for manufacturability at scale in partnership with Monroe and Associates.
Okay, very good, very good. So it looks like you made it big and you landed on the Meet Kevin show the other day. No.
Man, that was like a 2 hour long. He did the full deep dive.
Yeah, I started watching it, but I didn't quite have two hours to get to the full interview. So, but that was cool. We got on his channel there, and then congrats on the new board member as well, Galileo coming on board there. That was pretty big news as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we had a very busy kind of close of last year where we were looking at we had done a succession of capital raises that put us in the strongest financial position Arcimoto's ever been in, and then that has in turn let us make some longer term strategic moves that are going to be really important, we think, for the growth of Arcimoto over the coming years.
Yeah, great ambassador there of FUV.
No question. Well, and Galileo's, I mean, he's been helping to tell the story or from an investor's point of view for a few years. I mean, he went from being a real skeptic to a big supporter, and he just he's been a constant fountain of good ideas about everything from marketing to potential partnerships to future products. And so when he asked to join the board, it was kind of a no-brainer from my perspective, just because he's already shown that he's got the mindset for sustainability, the mindset for growth, and I think he brings a lot of enthusiasm to that conversation.
In my due diligence of researching your company, I ran across some of his videos early on, so that was kind of what kind of helped solidify me investing as well through some of his research combined with my own.
Yep.
So I guess so. I wanted to also touch on. Seems like there's some bears and there's some folks that are not.
Where have we heard this story before?
Seems like every EV company that has any kind of run-ups runs into some bears or some short reports. But there seems to be like a calculated effort by some seeking alpha writers, and I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but I'm gonna bring it up because I'm reading it and I'm like, none of this makes sense. So maybe you could address some of the things that they're talking about.
Well, I think what we noticed was that in late November, early December, that Arcimoto started getting heavily shorted. So if you look on this is all publicly available information. You can look on NASDAQ short interest history. And right around middle of December, we had just a huge spike up to the point where it was, I think, close to 25% of the float, the publicly available float, was sold short. And that was when the share price was $12 a share, $13 a share. And that short interest stayed basically constant and actually increased into January and into the big run up that we had at the beginning of February. And so when you do the math on that, and you look at 5-6 million shares sold short times a $20 run up in the price of the stock, you're getting into 9-digit losses for those short sellers. What that means is that there are groups out there that now have a vested financial interest to reduce investor confidence in Arcimoto. As we laid out in our stakeholder letter at the beginning of the year, the company has never been in a better financial position. We've got great partnerships for getting to mass production. We have very enthusiastic early adopters, which I think is a very good sign as we look to scale the business. And ultimately, we aim to bring the Arcimoto production model all over the world in order to solve everyday mobility for for the global market. Given that backdrop, I don't think it's at all surprising that there will be hit pieces written about the company. And I mean, we saw this over and over with Tesla. Is that when, and it's kind of sad to me, is that when you have people out there who make what I think is a dumb bet against a clean future, that that there's an incentive to construct a narrative of, sort of a narrative of naysay and failure in just simply in order to cover their investment. So, the whole January phenomenon with GameStop, and where you basically have people out there trying to create the failure of companies by making it much harder for them to exist in the market. We'll see what comes from all this. I think the retail crowd, clearly with the Reddit phenomenon, has become a lot more savvy as far as taking all those hit pieces with a grain of salt. There's added risk when for that bearish, taking those bearish positions, when you have a retail audience that's kind of wised up to that move.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have a tough time relating to the short mentality, because I put a lot of time and due diligence and research into when I do invest into a company, and so I can't. It's hard for me to fathom people that choose to invest that way. But it is what it is. It's part of the stock market, and it's. But like you said, yes, we're seeing people very much wising up to a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the market. So it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So how's everything going in Florida? You got the rentals going over there, and now orders being taken and deliveries.
We got rentals still in Key West. We've got we're accepting orders from Florida residents. We're delivering now in Florida. Yeah, we see Florida as one of our sort of big initial early opportunity zones. Just it's the right a fantastic climate for the FUV. There are cities like the villages in Florida that have somewhere on the order of 100,000 registered golf clubs or golf carts on the road, and we think those are sort of fish in a barrel markets for Arcimoto products. So it was really important to us that we get Florida open and start satisfying our. It's also one of our highest pre-order states, so we wanted to make sure we could get in there and start delivering. It also begins to kind of open up. That's our first East Coast state that we've opened. But the goal this year is to actually we don't think that we'll get the entire country open, but we want to hit a lot of the heavy pre-order states for Arcimoto vehicles.
What else is going on in Arcimoto in your just anything that you want to talk about?
Besides a new factory, a recent acquisition, push to mass production, opening of new states. I mean, I would say the challenge that we have right in front of us is we need to get our and this is I feel like the team is making great headway in terms of getting the early kinks in the production process worked out. Many of those have been complicated by the pandemic. So we had a couple of shutdowns at Arcimoto itself over 2020. We also had that those same issues affected many of our suppliers, and at the same time, we're working to get vehicles out in the field. We're also learning a lot from our early production vehicles, and just doing as we learn, as issues come up, we address them. We make the production process better, and that's really where the sort of the near term focus is. And at the same time, we have to really plan for much higher volume, and what does the product look like from manufacturing methods and material standpoint when we're building at higher volume. So we got a lot on our plate. I learned an expression recently, which and this is not for the vegetarians out there, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're definitely just chipping away at a whole big set of problems. But the team has I'm incredibly proud to work with this team. It's the best team I've ever worked with, tackling a problem that we all see as really sort of a core mission of our own lives. So it's it's an exciting time. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but I think we're up to the challenge.
Very good, very good. Well, like I said, keep me posted when North Carolina comes on online, so I can get my
We'll do.
order.
Yeah, yeah.
And once
We can
again,
hook
it's
you up.
yeah, man, yeah, that would be awesome. I'll definitely be making videos all about it. So, no, really glad to have you back on again. I think we're up on about 30 minutes. I like to keep these kind of shorter, so that way you can
People
keep.
will see that 2 hours and 10 minutes and go, I'm never clicking that playlist.
It's exactly. About 30 minutes is about a good time frame. So,
I will say the thing that just blows my mind about Kevin is that was one of like three monster YouTube videos that he did on that Sunday. I mean, that guy is just he's a he's got the gift of gab. I'll tell you
yeah,
that.
sometimes I think he does. There's been occasions where he drops 5 videos in a day, especially during like the stimulus. So he's a workhorse for sure. I have a tough time getting a video out a day, but well, I'm just busy as well. Work and all kinds of stuff going on. But I guess he is too. But
It's the miracle of the live stream. It's done as soon as the interview's over. So
that's it. That's what I'm doing wrong.
you just got to queue up some pictures that you'll slide in, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Right.
thanks again, and I will look forward to maybe having you on. Maybe the next one we can do a live stream. How do you feel about that?
No problem at all.
And we'll take
You do it
questions from
live.
the audience. All right, that sounds awesome. All right,
Sounds good,
Mark.
Jason.
Well, thanks again, sir.
Yeah, thank you. See
All
you
right,
soon.
take care.
Bye.